You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey, YNR fans, Belinda from Soap Dirt here, and I've got some really juicy spoilers for you for next week on the CBS soap. As usual, we'll have your full list of weekly spoilers on Saturday, but for now, some teasers for next week, June 10th through 14th. And hey, if you have not, I would love it if you click subscribe. We appreciate our followers so much. All right, let's dive right in to find out what's going on with Adam, Cole, and Michael as they talk to the women in their lives in the week ahead. So Adam and Sally are moved in together, and I'm super excited about that. They are finally in a good place, but things come into question next week. They are kissing while standing at their apartment, and then there's a knock at the door, and Adam pulls back from her, obviously annoyed, and it looks like she's gonna go to the door, and he's like, no, don't answer it. And she says, why? And he says, because it might be trouble. So what is the trouble coming to their door, though? Adam is in a good place with his family. Nick and Victor actually had a nice chat about the Newman black sheep recently. Nick and Victor were being very nice about Adam, talking about how great he's doing with Connor. So what exactly is Adam worried about? The main source of angst in his life right now is Connor's OCD. He's getting along well with Chelsea. Even he and Billy Abbott have a functional ceasefire going right now for the first time in decades. They're not trying to destroy each other. So is it Chelsea or Victor or Nick, knocking at the door to make trouble? Or maybe it's Josh Griffith apologizing for not giving Sally and Adam a decent storyline for quite a while, other than, Sally purse holding all of Adam's emotional baggage. I want to see her actually working with Summer. That would be nice. I do like Adam and Chelsea's storyline, but I think Sally needs a little sideline of storyline of her own. So let's hope she gets it soon. All right, the second spoiler we have is about Cole Howard and Victoria Newman. They're out together. Looks like they're at the Jazz Lounge. And Cole says, I just wondered whether we could have dinner together, like a date. And Victoria smiles. She seems very enthused. This little tidbit makes me so very happy because Cole Howard is openly defying Victor Newman. And that's always the start of good things on Young and the Restless. I wasn't watching back in the day when Cole and Victoria were a thing when they got married. Back when they got married and then found out they might be brother and sister, and then they found out they weren't. That was back before Amelia Heinle was in the role, and it was Heather Tom playing Victor's oldest daughter. So I don't know how nice of a guy Cole was back in the day. I mean, I do know he was boinking Nikki, and then later he was with that. Anyway, but he seems good. And after her recent romantic choices, it seems like Victoria should absolutely jump at the chance to keep Claire's dad around, The last guy she was with was Nate Hastings, who she basically sexually harassed into sleeping with her by dangling power and promotions in front of him when he was her subordinate, her employee. I had a big problem with that. And before that, I think it was Ashlyn Locke. I can't remember anyone between those two. And we saw how well that Ashlyn thing worked out. JT Hellstrom was totally tarnished by the writers into being a brain-addled abuser that she and her mom thought they killed and buried, but actually buried alive. And we all know Victor is no fan of Billy Boy. So, plus there's the fact that Victoria's dad seemed pretty keen on Cole being with Victoria until Cole actually had the cojones to try and steal the mustaches hostage, Cole's Aunt Jordan. So I will say I really like that Cole's doing what he feels like he wants to do and absolutely ignoring Victor's demands. But that means that Victoria's daddy will probably start trying to manipulate things soon. But I bet that Claire and Victoria will have some things to say if Victor tries to run Cole out of both of their lives. So we'll see. All right, the third spoiler, Michael Baldwin's talking to Lauren Fenmore. Looks like they're having coffee at Crimson Lights. And Michael tells his wife there is reason to believe that the dormant war between Victor and Mr. Abbott is about to reignite. And Lauren looks intrigued, maybe a little concerned. I'm also pretty excited about this. It's been a minute since Victor and Jack were at each other's throats. It got tiresome years ago, but since they've been playing nice for a while, I wouldn't mind them doing this anew. This to me would be much preferable to a business rivalry story as opposed to this Mamie and Jill feud that's literally, 30 years cold? I'm glad Mamie's around. She's fine. I like her. They could do something else with her. And Jill isn't even around. So they're having to have her literally phone it in to keep that rivalry going. So this one I'm more into. Interestingly, Victor and Diane are of like minds. Neither of them wants Jack and Nikki near each other. And Jack and Nikki finally agreed between them that he couldn't be her sponsor anymore after he risked his life to save her in the stupidest possible way. But Victor seems irrationally blaming Jack when actually Jack probably saved her life. And I personally think Nikki's deep dive and spiral after the whole initial Jordan debacle was down to Victor not insisting she go to rehab as soon as she got back from that Oregon trip from hell where Claire and Jordan first put that vodka IV in her. I mean, everybody, all the fans were saying on Soap social media, she needs to go to rehab. And you know, that's the kind of thing where they didn't have her go to rehab because they were contriving things. And that to me, you can have a very solid storyline that's intriguing, that's down to good writing. And in this case, they just kind of cut corners and do sloppy stuff to move plots forward. There's a lot better way to write things. I think Josh Griffith needs to go back with a writing 101 class. Anyway, I'm very curious about how Victor is going to come after Jack, because I am 100% sure it's going to be the mustache instigating this feud version. It's not even 2.0. This will be the, 10th, 12th. I don't even know. I've lost count of how many times they have been feuding, but it's enjoyable. It's enjoyable. I especially like when Jack conspires with Adam against Victor, but Adam's not in that frame of mind right now. So I kind of feel like Victor might conspire with Kyle. I think that might be cool. Or Diane. Diane might scheme with Victor to try and widen the distance between Jack and Nikki, but then that turns into a betrayal and it actually brings Jack and Nikki closer. They could do something with it if it's written well. I've got fingers crossed that they do. All right, come back tomorrow for full roster of weekly Young and the Restless spoilers. Thank you so much for tuning in. Drop your comments. Please subscribe if you haven't, and come back every day because we are here talking Young and the Restless 7 days a week. And as always, I'm your host, Belinda from Soap Dirt.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.